this masterclass is designed to happen monthly, and the idea is to have a classroom setting, but for fintech, right? Actually come talk about like fintech related topics, bring experts like to dissect these things. So the kind of things you find like platforms, go and pay, like you're coming here to learn it for free. And that's like the most exciting thing. Don't worry, we're here for you. And today we're talking about payments. And the focus of this is to actually look at how like payments work behind the scene. You pick up your phone, you want to pay to somebody. It's easy to just see everything go in 1 minute, transaction successful, and you're like, oh, this is cool, right? But there's some background like processes that actually powers that we see. And that's the focus of today's teaching. And I'm very, very delighted to, that our first, masterclass teacher is someone that I hold dear to my heart. So personal bias, but aside from personal bias, Abimbola is, I know this is supposed to be an official, bio reading, but I want to bring it home. Abimbola is a teacher. Things I know about payments. And if you also follow her on LinkedIn, she drops, tidbits, articles, easy to read, digestible. She's really, really fantastic. And trust me, she's the best person for this topic. So I know that you guys are going to have a great time. Abimbola currently is a senior product manager. She leads payment activities at an unnamed company. If you want to find out, DM her. But yeah, she's a senior woman. That's all I can say. So with delight in my heart, with joy, with love, with everything you can think of. Welcome. Let's welcome Abimbola Bajomo. So, Abimbola, over to you. Are you ready for us?
Hi. Something like that. Hi, guys. Good morning, everybody. Don't mind the lizard, Jerry. Good morning, guys. Good morning, Bertie. Good morning. I can't call everybody's name, but I can see a few people that I know here. So good morning, everybody. Let me introduce myself better. My name is Abimbola Bajomo. I'm a product manager, aka slave of the organization. I slave for payments. Everything that has to do with payments, I slave for it. For transaction to move, for reconciliation to happen, for customers to be happy. Payment is my world. Yeah. So although I do other things, I'm an entrepreneur, public speaker, I'm a teacher. Well, I'm a family person too, so it's a lot of combination that I do. Before we enter this full phase, I don't know if I'm supposed to share my screen, but I can share my screen just for the meantime so that you can put a face to my name for a bit before I disappear my face. Many people have done payment. Everybody has done payments, whether locally or internationally. And curiosity made me ask what happens behind the scene. Many times we just say funds transfer has gone. And when curiosity made me go into payment, was a funny thing that happened to me about 7 years ago. I was working in legal, and we had a customer that made a payment from their bank to our bank for legal activities. I was a paralegal at that time. And the money had left their bank account and the money was not in our bank. Then the bank started bouncing us in between to say, the money is not with us, call GTB. I said, no, call GT. And it became a joke to us that two big banks were passing us around and saying, the money is not with me, call GT. GT said, no, call Access. You know what, we'll send a mail in between. Then we started moving from GT to Access. And it was a very high-rated customer, like, imagine an MTN saying that they've paid you, and we use MTN, you are lying. That curiosity made me find my way into payments, and I think it's one of the most beautiful rides I've enjoyed, and I'm still enjoying the privilege. Like I always say, if you follow me on LinkedIn, you never feature payment finish. Payment is a lot. right. So let me start by sharing my slides and we can get started. So please let me know if you can see my screen. I tried as much as possible to create the slides. I finished it this morning. So there are so many things that might not be in the slides that I'll be talking about. I'm sorry. I have a very crazy schedule, so I was not able to complete the slides. Accept my apology in advance. I beg. Okay, so let's talk. Many of us that work in fintech here, or people that don't work in fintech but have heard about it. We've heard that there are many departments in fintechs. There's operations, there's transaction monitoring, there's reconciliation, there's credit risk, there's business risk, there's audit, there is fraud desk. And you're wondering, just because I transferred 5,000 naira from access to GT, why do they have so many people? Or you've ever wondered why, when it comes to payments, it takes a lot of deep thinking to be able to structure and build such. I have had the privilege to work on mobile apps, but trust me, I don't enjoy working on anything front end because it takes away the deep work that happens behind the scene. When people see front end applications, mobile applications, people are carried away with the design. Many people don't understand the work or the efforts that is behind it. I will talk about a popular fintech that we all use today, OPay. Many people have said, oh, OPay is the best, OPay is the best. And, oh, why can't traditional banks be like OPay? Do you know what OPay did for transfer to be fast? It takes a lot of deep thinking to be able to say, what did OPay do? Like, what did OPay did? Because you'll be looking at it like, oh my God, I just transferred to this guy and he got it immediately. What did OPay do? Like, who had that deep thinking to say, we can make banks, we can make transfer fast? We have all used GT. In fact, there was one year, I grew up in the banking, or my mom was a banker, and I grew up as a child of a traditional banker. It's not modern banker that we have today. My mom worked in Gateway Bank, worked in First Bank, and I grew up at the counter. The days where we will stay in the banking hall till 11:30, 12, before my mom takes us home because they are clearing check. In the old traditional days, when you take check to the bank, it takes almost 15 days, sometimes 10 days before your check is cleared. Because it was a lot of manual. It was bring the check, manually enter the ledger. Then there's somebody from the clearing and settlement system comes to pick it up. And those clearing and settlement guys, they had them regionally. So when they go, they will do their own paperwork before they take it to the bank that will collect it. That's why sometimes you have to go back to the bank to know if your check has bounced. I grew up in that environment. So I want you to know that liquidity, risk, reconciliation has changed from back then when we used to queue at the banking hall. My first bank account was Sky Bank. My dad took me to Sky Bank. I was 12 or 11, I can't even remember. And my dad wanted to open an account for me, and they said he could open an account for me, but the account would be in his name. But I can come and collect the money, be my signature or something at that time. So I was using Sky Bank, and there was no ATM that time. So anytime I wanted to withdraw money, I had to fill the slip and go into Sky Bank. So if there's no Sky Bank in that environment that I was almost stranded. And my dad did savings till I got to the university and I moved to Access Bank. I can keep on saying all the banks that I've used and how banking and payments have evolved from when we were kids to what we have now that is called instant transfer. So you should know the changes, the innovation that has happened in the past before we got to where we are today. Let me wow you. There was one time our parents cried. I cannot forget because I remember that was when the first recapitalization happened. There was one time banks were folding up, and you just wake up one morning and hear that this bank has folded up. You wake up one morning and find out this bank has folded up. And a lot of our parents had money in those banks. Many people will remember. Then God gave us Charles Soludo. Was it Charles Soludo? It was either Charles Soludo or Sanusi. One of them was CBN governor that time and said, let's start recapitalization. All of you that you have money, if you know that you want to have a banking license, bring money to CBN. That's the way we can know that you have money to be able to process payments. All these things started changing because the country started understanding liquidity, how money should be, how money should move, and the risk and the trust that comes with money. All these things I'm going to go deep dive into it, but this is just a rough intro of what we're going to talk about today. So today we're going to talk about the whole payment ecosystem, who's allowed to move money, the types of accounts, the funding models, real payment flow, what liquidity really is, like what fuels payments, and when it fails, what happens. Everything I'm going to talk about here, I can tell you for a fact, everything has a CBN regulation. By the way, I must say that Nigeria has one of the best regulators in Africa. CBN has tried as much as possible to go with how we are innovating and we are growing. Of course, innovation will always go ahead of what are they calling of regulation. Look at when crypto started. We didn't have a lot of regulations, against for crypto and all that. But when they started monitoring the practices, looking at the risk, a regulation hit, and they said, oh, banks cannot do this, crypto is not legal, blah blah blah, and a lot of startups went down the drain because the regulation came in and they already started seeing the risk, the issues that came with cryptocurrency at that time. So regulation will always come behind technology, behind innovation. And Nigeria CBN, I cannot lie, they've done a very good job to ensure that they are kind of open to innovation, and they've been doing a lot with their partner NEBs. And this has made Nigeria one of the best countries when it comes to account-to-account transfers. Many countries today are still highly dependent on cards. I mean, many people are still doing card. But in Nigeria, we cannot be dependent on card. Do you know how much dollar is? If you know how much banks fund or fintechs fund with their corresponding banks to give you card, you will know why they are pushing transfer every day and why everybody is building different ways for you to be able to use pay by transfer rather than for you to come and collect cards. Hence why plenty banks are pushing Afrigo and Verve cards today. And that's because those are local cards and they don't have to run in international currency before they can give it to you. So many things happen behind the scenes when it comes to payment, and the payment ecosystem is crazy. Then when we now talk about the hidden risks, the system failures that nobody talks about, and clearing and settlement, guys, clearing and settlement alone, I think is mind blowing. When you understand how banks get their money, and you find out that credit alert you got, the bank had not gotten their money, but they used their money to pay you. It's crazy. The trust, the risk, and the interest and the benefit. And many people answered some questions here. Would you rather save with traditional banks or fintech? I will tell you how fintech is making that money so that you can get interest and you can come to them rather than go to traditional banks. And nobody should hold me to it. Traditional banks are not cheating you. It's just a way of saying, guys, we are trying our best as traditional banks. And sincerely, I used to tell people that retail market is not what makes traditional banks. Traditional banks are big today, not because of your retail transactions. They are big today because of large fixed deposits that they use to run business. That's why you will hear the kind of targets that marketers have. They would rather tell you that They want to give out either loans or they want fixed deposits. Retail players, they do it because they need the everyday money to move around. But the huge deposits that they use to on the lights of banks and run big businesses are their fixed deposits and their lending business. So let's talk about the players in the game. Today, like I mentioned earlier, we have the central processing unit of money and liquidity, which is number one, the Central Bank of Nigeria. Now we have two different kind of people that can handle payments. We have the banks and the non-banks. The non-banks are the general fintechs that we have today. And for you to be able to hold money, move money, do anything with money, you must have a license. Now, we have banking license and non-banking license. And like I said earlier, when I mentioned this Soludo or say that I said that they did a recapitalization and they said, guys, bring money to CBN. Today, a new recapitalization is currently happening. For you to hold an international bank license, you must bring 500 billion naira. Gang. That's why GT is selling shares, Access is selling shares, Zenith is selling shares, FCMB is selling shares. Everybody sold shares from last year to this year because they're trying to ensure that they still have money for recapitalization. Recapitalization is what we call liquidity. So today, before money moves or anywhere, everybody prefunds. Money is kept somewhere for us to be able to say that I am receiving money, you are receiving money. A bank is financially okay. Yes. So now picture it like this. You want me to do something for you, right? But I don't trust you that much. So you come to me and you give me a particular trust to say, take this thing, this award that I'm giving you is a gold-plated award. It was given to me by the AMVCAs or by Oscars or by Grammys. The plaque is worth $10 billion. And as I'm giving you this plaque, all I need you to do for me is anytime I tell you to move money, please move money. Anytime any license institution that you have given license say that you should credit my customer, please do it. Credit my customer. At the end of the day, I will pay that person back their money without any issue. But for you to believe me that I will pay you that money, take this gold plated. In case you don't see that money back, take the money out of this gold that I'm giving to you. That's what bank recapitalization is. Meaning that the banks are pre-funding and they are putting the money in CBN, a certain amount of money. We have different licenses. We have international banking license. We have national banking license. We have regional banks. If I tell you these banks, you'll be shocked. Providence Bank is a regional bank. That's why it's only in the southwest. You cannot see it in the north. Global's Bank is a regional bank. FCMB is an international bank, if you don't know. Access Bank is an international bank. We also have national banks like Keystone Bank. They are national banks. We have other regional banks like that. So it depends on your license category, is the amount of money that you will give to CBN. So currently, big banks, the Fugas, when we're talking about the Fugas, please a minute. Apologies, my nephew is doing drumming classes. I hope you can hear me, Sha. Please, can you hear me? Or I have to move from where
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
All right, thanks. So when we are talking about the Fugas are First Bank, UBA, GTB, Access, and Zenith. Then we have other banks like FCMB Bank, and I think there's one more bank that has international license. So these banks have international licenses, and they can use their licenses to grow, to make money, and they can also use to expand to international countries. Hence, you have FCMB UK, Zenith UK, and all that. So your license category depends on how much you are going to put in the bank. Now, there's another thing that we call clearing and settlement. Now, like I mentioned before, clearing and settlement is so amazing. It means that is it all banks that can terminate with CBN? What I mean terminate is, can they directly speak to CBN? Now, to be in a clearing session or to be in CBN's clearing session, is not all banks that are allowed to be in clearing session. Sometimes on your behalf, you will have corresponding banks that will be in clearing session. Hence, this table that we are seeing. So on this table, we have players in the game. On our pink, this is the central bank. Now, the banks in yellow are the banks that are in clearing session. So this is DNB. A DNB is in clearing session. DNB is First Bank, Access Bank, GTB. Those are deposit money bank, Global's bank. They're in clearing session. PSBs, you'll be shocked. MTN is in clearing session. MTN is a payment service bank. Glo has a payment service bank. Airtel has a payment service bank. This particular license category is given to international banks. Okay. Yes. So we have as I was saying, the deposit money banks, the PSBs. Then we have merchant banks. These banks are banks that they have bulk of the money. They are banks for traders. I don't mean traders that are selling pepper. I mean large scale businesses, people that do import and export, people that do cocoa, people that do, these are merchant banks. Example of merchant banks that can come to your head is Coronation Merchant Bank. FBN has one. These banks are in clearing session. Now, non-interest banks. Jais Bank is a non-interest bank. There's Alternative Bank. It's a subsidiary of Sterling Bank Holding. It's also a non-interest bank. So non-interest banks are banks that do Islamic banking. These are banks that do full-time Islamic banking. They are not doing anything different, and they don't give interest on savings. They don't take interest on loans. Their banking system is very, very different. So that's why I mentioned Jais Bank. They run Islamic banking kind of thing. These four type of banks are in clearing session, which means that when it's time for settlement and clearing, they have accounts in CBN that can be debited and credited instantly. Now, we now have our other license categories. We have MFBs, we have holding companies, finance companies, mortgage banks, MMOs, and discount houses. These guys are also banks, right? But they all use corresponding bank accounts to relate to the CBN. So these guys have a representative, like a sponsor, that they put money with. So this MFB now, if you go to an MFB and say, who is your corresponding bank? You hear First Bank. Their money sits in a deposit money bank, and this deposit money bank does clearing and settlement on their behalf to CBN. So they don't speak directly to CBN when it comes to money. They come on behalf of these guys. These guys come on their behalf to CBN. Of course, the real guys that really go on all their behalves is the deposit money banks. These PSBs, all these guys, they are just in CBN because CBN wants to ensure that, especially for the PSBs, CBN wants to ensure that they don't run around with customers' money. So that's why they are directly with CBN in trust. So most of the people that are giving payment service license, it was really, really done when central banks move, or central bank's real motive was to ensure that we have financial inclusion in Nigeria, meaning taking banking to the core, to the last mile. So because many of the people that get it are telecommunication companies, everybody has the same card, everybody can make a call, then it means that they can do quick banking with that call that they're making. Hence, you get the guys that have PSB licenses, Glo, MTN, like that. And there's a Hope Payment Service Bank, is owned by UPSL, United Payment Service Limited. I'll come back to what they do. But many of these guys are in clearing, and these guys are not in clearing. And I will explain why clearing and not clearing as we go. I'm just trying to show you who the players in the game are, and where their liquidity sits. So every knowledge in this session, I will be taking you gradually till we get there. So these are the players in the game. Now, the second players in the game, which we are all familiar with, are these other guys. These other guys are who we call the fintechs of the world. They are the guys that they are not banks, and they are seen as corporates. If you go to CBN and they say, "What are you?" Say you're a fintech, or they say you're a corporate. Because they are organizations that just have licenses to be able to move payments, either to build infrastructure for payments to be facilitated, which is mostly what they all do. And one good thing about what CBN does is many of these licenses are permissible. You go for a PTSP license and they look at it that, okay, if you have a PTSP license, I can give you additional things to be able to do. You can do this, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. Okay. So for example, a PTSP, if you go for a switching license, which is the best license in the world right now, you be a PTSP, you can be a PSSP, you can be a super agent. If you go for a PSSP license, you can collect PSSP and IMTO, but you cannot be a switch and an IMTO together. It's funny. I need you to go and read CBN license guidelines. It's crazy. You cannot be a switch and an IMTO together. You have to collect your IMTO license separately, and you have to collect your switching license separately. Bureau de change is standalone. You have to be a bureau de change. You cannot be an IMTO and a bureau de change together. You can be a super agent and a PSSP. You can be a super agent and a PTSP. You can, if you're a card scheme, you're a card scheme alone. You can't be a card scheme and a card switch. Nope. So many of these license categories are actually like a maze that CBN has done to ensure that they put some sort of checks and balances. And if you notice, this is very different from where bank is, because some of the permissible licenses that banks have in this place is that a bank can be a super agent. That's all. That's the only thing a bank can be in this place. That's why you see that a lot of banks have agency platforms. Now, many banks are now switches. It's not the bank that is a switch. They opened another company and they put it under their own code. That's where holding companies come in place. To say that we want to do many other things, CBN, we just don't want to be a bank. And CBN is okay, come and collect holding co license. That's why you have likes of UBA. They have you seen how Holding is? Holding is their holding company. They have plenty subsidiaries, about 13 or 15. They have S Technologies, Health Insurance, Health something, Avon HMO, like that. That's why they all collected holding company licenses to be able to do other things. So that's why you see them taking switching license now. That's why I said switching license is the best license in town right now. Is very sweet, very sweet, very sweet. It's a very sweet license, because once you're a switch, you're a PSSP, you're a PTSP, and you're a super agent. It's not sweet. It's a very sweet license. So you don't have to do the switching work. The only thing about getting switching license is that you cannot hold money, you cannot hold funds. That's all. And you don't have license to hold anything, but you can build infrastructures. This is an infrastructure license. This is an infrastructure license. This is an infrastructure license. You can build infrastructures to enable payment to work for these guys. That's why it's now a very sweet license. So many guys have this. Now let me now go to PTSC and Payment Service Holding. InterSwitch is a payment service holding company. Now why? InterSwitch has switching license. Their switching license comes with all these things. Then they now went to get a card scheme license under another company name called Verve. And they are a card scheme. So they got a payment service holding license. They are the only payment service holding license in fintechs. That's why InterSwitch is the biggest holding company amongst fintechs. They have a payment service holding license that allows them to do multiple things, but under different corporate umbrellas. So InterSwitch has their own corporate umbrella, which is the switching license, while Verve is the card scheme that handles card issuance, local card issuance. That's Verve. So I hope I've not lost anybody. Please, if I have questions in the comment, please let me know, because I'm sharing my screen. I can barely see them. But when it's time for question and answers, I'll pick all questions and I'll answer. Promise.
You're done. So we're good for now.
Yeah.
Can-
Yes. Yes. So we have these guys that are card schemes. So I hope you are enjoying the players in the game now. So that's why we have a lot of names throwing themselves around. Now we have some guys that the only license that they have is super agency license. Though are the POS guys. They can issue POSs, help people to collect, make payment, do bills payment. Now, super agency license also was created for financial inclusion to ensure that to the last mile person, they have ability to do payments, make transactions, and also facilitate easier bill payments to the grassroots, to where technology does not exist, to where exposure is not there, and just to ensure that there's financial inclusion. Then our Bureau de Change guys, the guys that are up in flame now, all of them have been told to go and re-register their license, and that is a lot, because the market became saturated and a lot of guys are fraudulent now, so they are now trying to recognize the Bureau de Change guys just to ensure that they can regulate Naira properly. So those are the players in the game. Now these players in the game all have a way that they fund transactions. Like I said earlier, there's no way money can move if money does not sit somewhere. I explained from recapitalization stage. I mentioned that the reason why recapitalization exists today is that they don't want you to be moving money anyhow. What they really, really want you to do is to say, guy, this money that I have, hold it for me. Let me be able to do other things. Now, these are different funding types. Now, these other guys too, they also move money. How do they move money? Where do they keep money? Where do they put money? Is a lot of questions that people have to answer. That's why we are going straight to how they fund. Now, there are three major types of funding, three major types when it comes to funding money. The first one is pre-funding. That is what we all do as fintechs, all of us like this. We pre-fund. So, for example, you want to use a pay by transfer, example, Paystack. Please, I'll be mentioning a lot of names because I'm in payment. So I'll be mentioning a lot of brands. They did not pay me, but I'm just mentioning a lot of brands. So Paystack, for example, if you want to use a Paystack pay by transfer, they'll give you a wallet and say you must pre-fund. Why? They don't trust you now. So they'll just be going and be doing transaction on your behalf. How would they know that you pay them back? It's part of the risk that comes with payment and a lot of trust that they want. So that's why they are saying, you tie your own money down. I will help you to be doing transaction. When you don't have money, I will tell you that you have low sufficient funds. So should be your customers, you opened wallet for them. You said, you told them to top up their own wallet. You said, so come and top up my own too now so that I can do payments on your behalf. That's why pre-funding exists. Also in popular bill payments, electricity, eco disco, let me wow you, let me blow your minds. Nobody calls eco disco to vend electricity directly. Nobody calls MTN to vend electricity directly. Nobody calls DSTV directly. These guys have built rails, they've built APIs, and we have some people that we call aggregators like Remita. They've gone to these guys and say, let us integrate with you. We will resell the services that you have. And guys like Remita have done direct integration with MTN, with all these guys. And as they've done direct integration with them, they are now reselling to consumers like you to say that, okay, we can resell to you. And if you want to do it as a business too, come and integrate with us. We will integrate with you and we'll pay you commission for every transaction that you process. That's how to make money. I'm already eating you small, how to make money. People will pay me for this, sha. So today, you don't need any license to sell airtime. You don't need any license to sell electricity. All you need to do is find aggregators. Tell them that, okay, you have endpoints, give me the endpoint. You can build a small web platform and put it there and tell people, buy airtime for me, buy electricity for me. People will come buy electricity from you, buy airtime for you. And as they are buying all these things, you've pre-funded your money with them. And as they are buying, you get commission for all the transactions that you are processing, for electricity, for airtime, for data, for anything that has to do with bills payment. You also get a share out of it. They pay you commissions for it. So that's how pre-funding model really, really works. But for funds transfer, when you pre-fund, is the money that you pre-fund that they'll move ahead for customers for you. So that's why there is a fee that comes with it. So for example, if you integrate Monify's API to you integrate remittance funds transfer, they'll tell you that they're going to collect this amount of money from you for funds transfer. And you too, you are going to collect money from your customers. So the difference is the margin that you make as profit from the business. Then now let's move to post-funding. Post-funding exists today means that go ahead and do the transaction for me. I will pay you later. This is a very, very big trust that occurs today in the system. To say that, please go and move money for me. When you finish moving the money, in the evening, I'll pay you. Or let's say 4 times a day, I'll pay you 4 times a day. Anytime you want to take your money, this is an account. I want my transactions to be fast. I don't want any slow transactions. So thank you. Move my money on my behalf, please. When you move the money for me, after 12 o'clock, all the transactions you've done from morning to 12, take it from this account. All I want is my transactions to be fast. Because when I do pre-funding, you have to debit me. And if my bank is not available, my transaction will not go. So please, move my transaction. Anytime I call you, just do it. When you do everything like that, come back and debit me later. That's something that we call post-funding model. Then we now have another model called sponsor funding. This is the interesting one. So it's like this. So me, Credit Direct, I'm a subsidiary of FCMB Bank. And I want to use NIP. And they say, Credit Direct, you are a finance house. Meaning that you don't accept deposits, right? You are not a deposit money bank. Yes, I'm not. I'm just a small finance house. I'm a small lending company. Okay. But you want to use NIP? Yes. We cannot give you access. So please now help me. Go and meet your DMB. They're already on NIP. Tell them to come and sponsor you. So Credit Direct to go and meet FCMB and say, FCMB, I want to use NIP. Be my sponsor bank. FCMB will now go and tell NIP and write a letter to NIP that every transaction that Credit Direct does is on us, FCMB Bank. Ensure you move all their money and settle them, and we will bear the cost. All transactions should be debited from our own fund holding account. NIP will say, okay, who is your sponsor bank? Who is your partner? Credit Direct is sponsored by FCMB. And that is another type of funding, which means that I have daddy, I have godfather in this fintech space, in this payment space. I have somebody that can back me up just to ensure that my transactions can move fast and can move better. I'll go and call my godfather that is already in your system, that have money in CBN. That guy will come and tell you that use my money that is in CBN on behalf of Credit Direct and do all their transactions. So that is what sponsor funding means. Now, all these funding types is sweet because something happens somewhere. That's why we now talk about other fundings that is involving CBN. So I've been saying I have money in CBN, I have money in CBN, I have money in CBN. What do I have in CBN? What I have in CBN is called a collateral. That's money that I have given CBN 500 billion naira that I've told them to put somewhere is a collateralized funding. It can be in T-bills, it can be in bonds, and it can be in cash. And that kind of funding is what we keep in the Central Bank of Nigeria today. We have another type of funding called standard lending facility. This is when um settlement is happening in the night. So let me explain it like this. There's a difference between your collateral and your FHA. So everybody has a fund holding account. That's a transit account. A fund holding account where they keep money to say that. Remember I said it that for post funding, I will say that do transaction for me. Now, when I tell you that go and do transaction for me on my behalf and move money on my behalf, what I'm really, really saying to you is that please move all this money on my behalf. When you finish moving all this money at a particular time in the day, please come and debit the money. Don't come and say you don't find money there. I'll be putting money in this FHA. Come and be debiting it. Now, at that time that I'm saying that come and debit the money and I don't find money there, you know, when it's time for clearing and settlement in the night, I will still explain how that one works. CBN will now say, okay, it's time for clearing. You owe Access Bank 5 billion. You owe this one 20 billion. Oh yeah, bring the 20 billion. And they see that they don't have money in their account. You can contact CBN for a standing lending facility that they quickly inject liquidity into your account as a last resort loan using your collateral to say that CBN, please quickly borrow me money overnight. This is what Treasury Department does. So that's why Treasury guys, they have plenty money. If you work in Treasury in bank, I'm telling you this hidden secret. They are the highest paid in bank. They have money because they do a lot of overnight work and they think on their feet. We need to hype them. Those guys are good. So what they will do is in the night, they will say, what can we do? What can we do? What's the last resort? Tell CBN to borrow us money. So CBN will inject money as a standing lending facility into that account so that clearing and settlement happens immediately and your bank is not owing. The only person your bank is owing at that minute is CBN. Now we have something that we call overdraft limit too. Now, overdraft is as you think it is overdraft, meaning that you know that as I'm debiting Access Bank to go and credit GT. GT too has to be sure that he has enough money to be doing obli. You know that Access Bank has not given GT money in other transaction process. Access Bank just told GT that, guy, help me to credit this guy. During settlement and clearing, I will give you your money back. GT say, okay, I've heard. Now, in the minutes that GT said, okay, I've heard, GT will check, do I have enough money to credit? That is what the overdraft limit is. To say that, what is the OD limit? What is my overdraft limit to move money to honor incoming credit? That is the least I can go. That's the most I can go to honor any incoming credit. If I've reached my overdraft limit, I cannot take any request from any bank to credit my customers on their behalf. So every bank has an overdraft limit for credit. Collateralized is for debit. We get it? Yes. Now, the next one is intraday liquidity facility. So these are large short-term liquidity for CBN to help banks to clear large value payments. Sometimes CBN is the real guy. They have money. So they can say, you can go and meet CBN that, please, I just need quick loan this afternoon. For this clearing session that we are doing at 2 o'clock, help me to clear everything. In the night, I'm expecting a big money. I will return it. It's different from standing lending facility that you say overnight liquidity injection. This one, it is in the middle of the day because there are 4 clearing sessions in the day. There's in the morning, 12, 2, 4, whatever. CBN, I beg. I just go beg you. This session that we want to do at 8 a.m., help me clear everything. I will pay you back in the next session. These are some of the work of Treasury. That's it. Then we have repurchase agreements where banks says for immediate liquidity, they'll sell an asset to CBN and tell them that they will buy back later. And when I mean assets, I don't mean household. I mean bonds. I mean correct assets. Banks don't have small assets. Then we have CBN guaranteed base funding. So this CBN guarantee is the one that CBN guarantees a bank to an infrastructure player, or guarantees, CBN guarantees an infrastructure player. So for example, Remitter is a switch, and CBN can say, for all deposit money banks, because they have collateral with me, answer them. I have guaranteed their funding, help them to debit customers, credit their other customers, and help them to move money as a switch. That's what we call the CBN guarantee-based funding. So I have explained funding to a level, and I'm going to another level, which is what we call float. So let me make something clear. All this funding that have happened is customer money. All this let me keep money, put money here, it's your money. That's why I said that they like things like fixed deposit, they like things like refund. That's why they will say, a bank will say, I know you've seen plenty ads. We're doing FCMB promo. Don't use FCMB promo. We're doing GT promo, we're doing Sterling promo. Keep 5 million naira. If you can have a balance of 5 million naira in your account till the next 1 month, you will earn 10 billion. Everybody will shout, hey, everybody struggle to put money in their account and leave money in their account for that period. Then when you leave your money in that account for that period, they will now pick 2 lucky winners out of 10 billion of you. They'll give them 1 million. How much is 1 million? Oblate money. They will give 2 of them money, and everybody will shout, hey. That thing that they are telling you to do is what we call float. They want you to keep money with them so that they can use it to run business, earn interest, and they will now come back and say, 2 people take money. God, I have a feeling that banks will sue me after this training. I'm scared right now because it looks like I'm revealing a lot of secrets, but I will step down on my secret sharing. So that's what we now call settlement floats. That's what we call floats. We have different kind of floats today to say that when customers put deposits, they use it to earn. That's why many of us like fintechs. Banks like fintechs like Credit Direct, fintechs like OPay, when you keep money in their wallet, you earn daily interest. Yes, because they've used your money as float and they're giving you interest that you've earned on your money. That's why you like fintechs. They are good guys. We need to clap for them. Fintechs are good guys. Then we have some banks that are good banks too that pay us interest, but it's small interest that they are paying them. But let's clap for fintechs. They're doing amazing work. That when you put money in your wallet, they give you interest. That's what we call float. So you yourself as a customer, you are partaking in float. Yes, you are. So we have different kind of floats. We have settlement float that occurs when funds have been deducted from one party and are yet to be credited to the beneficiary to process settlement. And this is common in interbank transfers or bill payments. So like I said, bill payments, you fund with somebody. Then when they debit you, they will give you the token. It's later on that you will now go and settle Ikeja Disco. But things have really, really changed now. People are doing pre-funding model everywhere. Even Ikeja Disco, if you go and connect to them, they will give you wallet. They will not tell you that you should come back to settle. Ikeja Disco now has a payment company, PS. That's their aggregator, payment aggregator. So you cannot connect it to Ikeja Disco again directly. It's only PS that you can connect to. So when you go to PS will give you wallet. Oga, pre-fund here. There's no freebie again. So some of these things are things that happen with float. Then we now have customer float, where money is held on your behalf in wallets, gift cards, and in deposits. And till your balance is withdrawn, it is your float. So sometimes, let me give you in. Sometimes when you credit your bank account, the money is still there. Like you are seeing the number. You are seeing the number that I've created my balance 700,000. That money has not really gotten to your fintech. That money is still in their corresponding bank, and those are the things that we call settlement float. So the money is still in the bank, then the bank will still credit your bank, and the money will still move around like that. But a notification has happened to calm you down as a customer to let you know that don't worry, we know that you have credited your account and this is your balance. But the real money might not have moved to the real settlement account of the bank. And also we have interbank flow, which is temporary liquidity movement between banks. So this happens at night. So let me explain. So during clearing and settlement, we have big banks that have money. They have excess liquidity. When they finish their clearing session and they finish their settlement session, there's still extra money that they can lend to another bank. So double treasury, we have the treasury of Global's Bank, treasury of Zenith Bank, saying, Global's Bank, we don't have money. We don't have we don't have money. Please, can you lend us money overnight so that we can settle all our this thing, so that before the clearing session goes, we have enough money in our funds holding account. Now there's an interest rate that this money earns banks. So when a bank is borrowing another bank funds, that interbank float, there's an interest rate. And you see that interest rate is published by NASDAQ. And there's something that we call NIBOR, Nigerian Interbank Borrower, something. I've forgotten the name, NIBOR, and there's NASDAQ. There is a formal interest rate that is published for banks to be able to see their interest rate across each other for lending. So they borrow each other money for urgent settlement needs, and this is typically occurring overnight. So they borrow them overnight for settlement, and banks earn interest. So this is a part of the interest that that we earn, that banks earn from the money that they borrow. So if you pre-fund a certain amount of money, or you join all those Access Bank promo, something 5 million, and all of you drop money, they can use that float to borrow other banks that don't have enough liquidity overnight. Now, hence why we now have a lot of recapitalization conversation, because now money is moving a lot now. In fact, more money is moving. Banks are now more correspond. As we have more fintechs, the need for banks to have more money in CBN, because the amount of money that banks are moving daily now has grown from what they used to move before. They also now have they have to move money for international cross-border payment. A lot of money is now being moved. Hence why instead of all these overnight borrowing things that is occurring, bank is saying, you guys need to put more money in CBN. You guys need more liquidity. Hence why they sold more of their shares. All those things, they can convert them into money and put it as their pre-funding account. Now, other regulated flows, I mentioned it, that the reason why PSBs and MMOs are required by CBN is just for them to be able to safeguard customer floats and their money. So that's why we have a lot of regulated floats. This is really done by the Central Bank of Nigeria to ensure that MMOs and PSBs, their monies are safeguarded and safe. And this to ensure that they don't misappropriate customers' money, and they don't, that these PSBs and MMOs, these guys are really dealing with the unbanked. So it's only CBN that can help protect and safeguard those monies. If you look at it, PSBs, MMOs, you don't have mobile app. Many of them run on USSDs. I know many of them are now doing mobile apps, but how many unbanked now have mobile apps, really? So many of them use agency networks. They use a lot of those things. So sometimes the unbanked have to go there to say, hey, Joe, how much do I have in my balance now? So the only way that the CBN can ensure that the customer floats and they are safeguarded, and they put them in dedicated trust accounts. That's why we now have regulated floats. Other kind of floats are revenue floats, where organizations intentionally place their funds in treasury instruments or overnight lending markets. So these ones are some of the things that traditional banks use to make money, and also fintechs. So you see fintechs going to banks to say, like a piggy vest, or like a fair money, or like a sparkle. These banks that have savings, like Credit Direct, they'll say, I'm giving you all the money that I have pre-funded. They can't hold money, right? They are not banks like that. They use corresponding banks. So they will tell their corresponding bank that the money that I've kept with you, use it as revenue float for me. Please put them in the lending markets, overnight lending markets for me. The interest that we earn, how much will you give me? How much will you take? This is real business, and this is how companies can make profit and they can pay us salaries. That's why when you understand money markets, it's amazing. And finally, pre-fund floats, where we say aggregators or merchants may deposit money in advance to ensure that they process future transactions. I think I've mentioned this one before. This one is a pre-funding float and it's for bill payments and that. So I have explained all the funding models, all the account types, and how liquidity is done now. So now I want to move to how transaction really does happen. And these funding models, these account models help us to understand and expose our mind. I know now our minds are broadened and we are seeing the bigger picture of what happens to my money. Hence why we are saying that please save your money with people like Piggyvest, Credit Direct. I'll say Credit Direct again because I work in Credit Direct. I'll say it again. Okay, I've said where I work. Yeah. Put
I
your
want
money in such
to say,
I'm, I'm very biased. So I work in Credit Direct. So you need to save your money in places like that so that your money can work for you. All these things I'm saying about float, about funding models, is that their money, bank, they put money somewhere. Customers' money are with them. If they just put the money there, it will not earn anything now. So they need the money to work. So that's why you hear that your money is working for you. So if you save with people that say they are giving you those interest rates, it's a good thing. Than for you to put your money somewhere and somebody is debiting your SMS alert, something alert, something alert, something alert, something alert in one day. So please, it is very, very important that you allow your money to work for you so that all of us can be Nepo babies. Many of us have not understood that. I'm not talking about people that are Nepo children that have been born Nepo here. We that we are the Laporans, that we know ourselves. We are trying as much as possible to ensure that our kids are Nepo babies. So you have to understand the money market and allow your money to work for you. In salary period now, many people, their money will just sit in their account. You are not spending it, we know. Please go and save it somewhere so that at least the 20,000 returns you get, the 30,000 returns you get is better than earning zero from it. So let me move to transaction life cycle and how money really moves. Now, everything that I've mentioned, apologies, I did not mention the players in card or in transaction processing. So I'll say it is my mouth now. We have, as I've mentioned, all the license categories and all the license categories. Everybody plays a role in everything. I want to take us back to somewhere. I did not mention somebody here, and because we are now in payment processing, I think I can go deep dive into what each of them do as license category now. So the IMTO guys, these guys, they are the ones that are helping us to move money cross-border, international money. So you want to send money to somebody abroad or you want to receive money, people that we know that are IMTOs are like Flutterwave. They help they make it easy for you to be able to move money. Then we have guys like PSSP. Spacestack is a PSSP, and these guys have built infrastructure for payments. Then we have the PTSP guys. These are the guys that have built cards and have made it easy for you to be able to issue POSs. Banks can never be PTSPs, by the way. So if you see a bank's POS, you see that you hear by Global Accelerex or hear by iTechs. These guys are PTSPs. Then we have guys that are PTSA. Example of a PTSA is NIBS. Example of a PTSA is UPSL. Those guys are PTSAs, they are payment terminal service aggregators. They are the ones that route transactions to switches for POS transactions. So they take those transactions when you initiate it on your POS. It calls the PTSP calls the PTSA. The PTSA routes it to the card switch, and the card switch now does the whole work. Now, for a card transaction, who is involved in a card transaction? We have somebody that we call the acquirer processor. We have somebody that we call issuer processor. These guys are basically processors. They are switches. They are guys that have integrated with MasterCard, Visa card, Rev card. They help you to ensure that transactions are being moved. Don't forget that your card is connected to your bank account. Now, let me tell you one sweet thing. Before UPSL became a PTSA, something happened. NIBS was the only PTSA. Let me tell you what happened. Many guys noticed that this card that we are going through MasterCard and Visa, we're losing money as banks. This card, maybe we tied it to bank accounts, no problem. They developed APIs and they started giving guys, they started selling APIs to guys and said, it's called direct card routing. And this direct card routing means that call me directly instead of going to the issuer processor or calling all these things. Don't call the PTSP. You that you have the POS, call me. When you see that the card is Access Bank, call me. When you call me, I'll debit the account for you and I'll give you a response. So those things became paramount, and NIBS said, guys, this cannot happen again. It's causing risk. We cannot trace transactions. We have a lot of kidnapping happening. So they made UPSL. So they called all these people. Why are you people doing this? And they said, you people are not stable. They said, okay, since we are not stable, let's give another person a PTSA license. So they gave it to United Payment Service, UPSL. UPSL is also a switch, and they said, UPSL, come and become a PTSA so that PTSPs can connect to you too. So if they cannot reach us, they will reach you at least. And you can help them to reach through all the processors to ensure that all these transactions are properly tracked and there's some sort of geofencing that happens there. So I'm still going to give out the slides to Elizabeth so that they can give it to everybody and we can go through the slides, because I think I'm going to be rushing now. I've been talking too much. So we're going to go from customer. This is for card payments on POS, by the way. It goes to the POS, that's the merchant POS. Then the transaction data goes to the acquirer or the processor of the transaction. The acquiring bank checks, and it goes to the payment scheme. The payment scheme sends it to the issuing bank. All these things happen and the money is credited and the card is debited. Now, it's not everybody that is an acquirer of a transaction. This is one thing I wanted to mention. For you to be an acquirer of the transaction, you must have something that we call an acquiring bin. So many times, it's part of funding model that we have today. That's why card is very expensive. For you, you cannot connect to MasterCard if you don't have certain licenses, PCI, DSS, ISO, something. There's a lot of ISOs that you must have. So many of them go to a sponsor bank to say that Zenith Bank, maybe you have written all the source and you have all the PCI DSS and you have all the card scheme, everything. Zenith will say, yes, please come and be my sponsor bank. I want to use your acquiring bin to issue cards to my customer. So that's why the acquiring banks are always the guys that own the bin. And what do I call a bin? If you look at your ATM card, the first 6 digits of your ATM card is your bin. That's your bin range. So that first 6 digits, the first 4 belongs to a bank. That's the acquirer of the transaction. Then the last 2 is now the bank that issued. That's the card issuing bank, the bank that issued it. So if you have an acquiring bin, they use their acquiring bin to process transaction. And once you have an acquiring bin, you have an acquirer processor. That's somebody that is a switch that is connected to that card scheme that can help you to move transactions and process transactions. So card is a lot. Maybe one day we'll have a card session, but I don't want to deep dive into card too much because card is a whole conversation on its own. But just for you to have a quick idea of how card works and how card issuing happens. Then we have our normal transaction life cycle for funds transfer. This is where the switch is involved. Like I said, that money starts, the customer initiates transaction, it goes to the switch, it's pre-funded, then they check if you have insufficient funds. So it comes here and says, is it a pre-funding transaction? If it's no, does the funding bank and beneficiary bank meet all the criteria? Meaning that do they have enough collateral? Do they have enough overdraft? All these things that they check. If it is no, direct fail the transaction. If it is yes, the beneficiary bank is instructed to credit. Now, the beneficiary bank will also check, does this account meet all the criteria? Is there a post-no credit? Is there a lien? Is there a kinikon? Is there the amount of the transaction? If, for example, your account can only take 500,000 and somebody is sending you 1 million, the bank will check. If it meets all the criteria, they process. If it does not meet, they'll fail the transaction. Then, if it is a pre-funding transaction, they will check if your financial institution has insufficient funds, if your FHA is debited and the money is moved, and if you don't have, you are debited. Then I put this domestic account. I've written an article about it before, so you might want to check it on my LinkedIn. It's more explanatory there, so I don't really want to talk about it again. But I will just try to, say it that these are all the accounts that we have today, because now we're going into reconciliation. So these are all the accounts that we have today that everybody must have. This CBN Nostra account is the account that they have in CBN, that is the Liquidity Bank. This is transit account where we have mirror accounts, we have fund holding accounts, we have settlement accounts, we have operating accounts. Operating account is where salaries and everything happen. The settlement account is where all the money is settled after clearing and settlement happens. Then the fund holding account is where we debit for transactions, like I mentioned. Then we have an income account. This income account is where, when we want to credit you as a bank for doing a service with us. So, for example, you are doing bill payment with a payment company, and as a bank, you give them your income accounts. So every time you do transaction, your commission, that's where it's paid to. Then a fee account is on the other way around, saying that, for example, if you are doing direct debit with somebody, they'll be debiting you for the fees. You provide another account for them where they'll be debiting fees. Then we have revenue split accounts, where if a bank is doing monetization or is doing splitting, they'll tell you that don't credit my FHA, credit my revenue split account. For my revenue split account, they already have a standing instruction in those accounts to how money is split. Then for IMTO, this is a very interesting one. IMTO license, when you go and say, I have an IMTO license, and they want to open an account for you, the account comes in a pair. It's called FCY accounts and LCY accounts. This pair is when you want to help somebody to move money from a foreign country to Nigeria, the FCY account is credited. That's the foreign account. Now, if the FCY account is not credited, the bank will not convert that money to LCY to help you to pay out money finally. No IMTO can credit anybody straight in Nigeria. They do it through financial institutions. So financial institutions give them this pair account, FCY account, LCY account. So when the foreign MTO credits them, they credit them here. So you want to move money from London to Nigeria, is an IMTO that is involved. Then the MTO is the guy in the foreign country. So he will credit your account in Citibank. That's why the bank account comes in pair. These two pair accounts that you are seeing, once they credit it, is really, really GT's account in Citibank that they are crediting. This account will get notified that this foreign account has been credited. Once the bank sees this credit, they will immediately convert it to Naira and issue a payout with the rate. IMTO too, another broad market, an interesting one, by the way. But I just want to give you insight into how the IMTO business really, really works. Then we now have foreign accounts to say that these are how money moves. Then these are foreign accounts that banks have. For example, banks have foreign Nostra accounts. I mentioned Citibank the other time. Citibank, HSBC. This is where card settlements are, all their FX deals. These foreign accounts are held in Citibank. That's why you can see Citibank in. If you are a Lagosian, there's Citibank in VI. And they have Nigerian branch there. That's where many of these banks have foreign Nostra accounts. Then a virtual account is a bank account that a foreign bank has in Nigeria. So for them to be able to do foreign transaction, Nigerian-based transaction, local transactions, they'll have a virtual account in our central bank where they can now be using to move money. Money is sweet. Then we have correspondent accounts where we use for cross-border payments for international banking and LCs and trading. Now, all these things that we're talking about comes with a lot of reconciliation headache. So there are three major types of reconciliation. We have transaction reconciliation, financial reconciliation, and operational reconciliation. Operational reconciliation is how much have we made? How has money moved? What have we settled? What have we not settled? All those things. There's the financial reconciliation that comes with how much came in, what happened here, what happened here. Then transaction reconciliation is the reversals that happen, the refunds that happen, the monies that came in. Do they collide? Are they the same? So we have different reports that is being used by many fintechs and many banks. These are some of the reports that we use for reconciliation. We have GL reports, and these are cost system records that that carry actual transaction posting. So if you know about core banking, I know plenty of people, if you work in fintech, you hear that we have a core banking system, we have a CBA, and there's an account on the CBA that is called the GL account, and that's where money is. So when they debit you, they'll credit the GL. When they want to credit you, they debit the GL. All those things that happen with the GL, those main accounts that belongs to the core system, they actually reconcile them. How much came out? How much came in? How much did we debit from the GL to credit the customer's account? How much did we debit from the GL to do outflow? Then they check normal transactions reports. And reconciliation guys, they do a lot of work, and I'm clapping for them where I am, because all this report I'm saying, they used to compare them. They used to compare them. They do it. So they will check transaction report. If you see their Excel sheet, you can never see somebody that is good in reconciliation that use a software. They like Excel. They will put GL sheet 1, transaction report sheet 2, settlement report sheet 3, bank statement sheet 4, call over report sheet 5. They will now be comparing this ref, is he here, is he here, is he here. God has really blessed that account, I must say. So some of these call over reports, bank statements, settlement reports, many of these reports are things that they've put together and they go through daily to ensure that money is being done. They're the ones that really, really help us that we're in technology, especially when we have written beans. They're the one that will quickly come and tell us that we have done double reversal, we have done double refund, we have done double credit. Is easily seen from the reconciliation report. Then they also reconcile fee report, income report, they do reversals, and they also check for chargebacks. Chargeback is a lot, and I hope that one day we can have a conversation about chargeback. And I'm very, very interested in that conversation, because card chargebacks, funds transfer chargebacks, I think I've experienced some of the major frauds that can come with chargeback, and it can be a lot. Then they also look at statement of wallet or the statement of float for maybe there are places that they've refunded for money. Then common issues that can happen with reconciliation is delayed settlements, double postings, incomplete records, and manual bottlenecks. Then what are the hidden risk of payment? Hidden risk of payment, and I'm going to say this from a real life experience. Payments can be difficult. It's even hard, don't let's lie. And this is because I've experienced timeouts. Like I integrated with somebody. I've told you to go and credit a person, and you just give me timeout. And I do check status to see what's the status of this transaction. And you're telling me failed. But you have credited the person. Me, and I went to reverse. You now debited me later. So when I did reconciliation, I found out that the customer has received credit, you gave me a field, and for that same transaction, you debited my prefunding this thing. Meanwhile, me, I've reversed the money back to my own customer to say that the transaction has failed. There's a lot that happens in payment. It's not easy, sincerely. There's the part of fraud. I've experienced airtime fraud before. I've experienced data fraud before. Somebody stole somebody's ATM card and started using it to buy airtime and data. These are some of the fraudulent things that happen with payment. Then there's chargeback fraud, like I mentioned earlier. Something happened in Nigeria, and I'm just trying to wrap up now. Something happened during Christmas. I explained, it was on Twitter everywhere, if you saw it, where people came to Nigeria with foreign cards. They bought from Nigerians, went to clubs to buy drinks. They now got abroad and started charging for chargeback and started saying they are not the one that used the card, that their card was stolen. And for each chargeback, for all of this fraud that happened, the merchant bears the cost. So apart from the fact that they would take the money from you, they would charge you extra fee for chargeback. That's why when you want to see people that are enabled for international transactions, it's not everybody. In fact, there's a separate special KYC for you to enable somebody to do international transactions, both on web and on POS. And when you enable them for international transactions, you will ask them, what's your chargeback level? You will not collect extra money from them, because anytime there's chargeback, you push it to the merchant. You are the one that went to collect card with that. Because if there's a chargeback, we will tell you that you have a chargeback against you. What we expect that you use to reply the chargeback claim that we sent to you is that when the person wants to use ATM card, please snap them with the ATM, with them holding the card, so that when they go to their international country and say they are not the one, please reply that chargeback claim with the picture or the ID card of the person with his card by his hand, saying that he's the one that processed this transaction. Because many times this is what merchants are falling prey of. And at the end of the day, another dirty December is coming in with another set of chargeback frauds. And that's why many people don't like card payments, really. Then we have unmonitored reversals. Sometimes we have things like double reversals, triple reversals, and all that. Then we have double debits. Ah, God, that thing can kill you. If you have been in my position before, say hi, where you have downtime or somewhere, somebody just double debiting, or somebody is doing oblate, crediting, just doing double credit because of one particular bug. Some of these things do occur. And I'm going to say, thank you very much. Any questions?
Omo. I'm sorry, give me a minute to express my emotions. But I believe that a lot of other people can feel what I'm feeling deep down my soul. This has been really, 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 really times 1,000,000 insightful. Thank you so much, Abimbola. Okay, do we have anyone like with questions? I know Iwuchukwu has signified since almost 10 minutes ago now. I say this shall not pass me by, but I want to take a quick count. This is the only opportunity you have to ask question. So in the next 10 seconds, if you have a question, can you please raise up your hand? So once I count, it's only the people I see that, because I already passed time. So we have one, we have two. So just two people going, three, going, four. The cap is 5. So who wants to be the fifth person? We can't take more than 5 actually. Okay. Thank you very much. We close it there. Thanks. So we have Iwuchukwu, we have Nadoze, we have Tolulokpe, we have Owana, and we have Rukayat. So let's start with Iwuchukwu. You can unmute. We have, let's say, 2 minutes per person per question. Not 2 minutes to ask your question, plus the question and the answer. But of course, feel free to express yourself. But let's also try to work with time. So Iwuchukwu can
okay,
go ahead.
Thank you, Abimbola, for such an illuminating presentation. So my question, I'll go straight to my question. So you mentioned about the challenges with reconciliation, and you mentioned that more often than not, they use Excel. Are there new technology that are being used by financial institutions to make the conciliations more maybe seamless or easier, instead of using maybe Excel, comparing sheets? And are there new technology that banks are adopting to make reconciliation easier? That's my question.
So some banks have something that we call reconciliation engine. And this reconciliation engine that they have is supposed to make work easier. They feed the reconciliation engine with the data that they need. So it's a really big work that is data scientists that do them. They will feed the reconciliation engine with the data that they need, and they will do some sort of machine learning metrics. But trust accountants, they don't trust technology. I can give you for a full fact that what they prefer is put that data in the reconciliation engine. We will download the reconciliation report. They will still compare it to the raw file. For certain reasons known to accountants, they like Excel. So it's not like a lot of technology has not gone to ensure that reconciliation becomes a smooth process. We have people that have built technologies. I'm not even going to mention brands, but I've seen a lot of reconciliation systems that have been built, and I've even been able to contribute to some. But the truth is, I've met with accountants, I've spoken to people in operations, and they say, Bimbo, for many fresh Excel. There are things there that you people don't see. And this is because when you give them fresh documents, you know that it's not adulterated. But some of this reconciliation engine, you know, we put a lot of redundancies. We can say when something is not duplicated, when a ref is this, they don't want that engine thing. They want documents. So that's why. I hope I've answered your question. Thank you.
Thanks, Abimbola. Inadozie, you can go next, please.
Yeah, thanks, Elizabeth. Thank you, Bimbo. Very enlightening. Yeah. I've been following Elizabeth's post about you, but let me even see this person. And Elizabeth, you are not doing enough. You need to shout more. All right. So my question is concerning the chargeback.
Yeah.
You mentioned the part where, as a means of identification, there should be pictures. So
Yeah.
I know I've seen that before. One time, my father's account was debited. Somebody used this card, but it wasn't my dad. So when we went to the bank, they brought a picture out.
Yeah.
If somebody uses POS, for example,
Yes.
is there any way that chargeback fraud is being monitored from that end? Like when
Sincerely,
somebody says,
that's one of the biggest headache today. I can't lie to you. You know that if it is ATM, you go and use ATM has camera. Abi, ATM is
yes,
snapping. Some of the things that I think they've done to POS machines is that they should have camera at the back so that you can snap. But the problem is, how many vendors have time to say I'm snapping per transaction or per person that is in front of me? It's very, very, it's not easy. But when it comes to international card, and see, we can rival local card fraud a lot. Look, if it's not your daddy that did the transaction and they use his card at a POS point, you know, if they do geofencing and all those things, we might even be able to, and if it goes to arbitration, there's a lot of proof, you know, things can happen. But for international card, somebody comes to you with American Express card to your POS point. You not now snap the person with the ID card. They now go back to American. Do you know how much chargeback cost for international transactions? For local transaction, is even still it's something that I know that every day is what we are trying to combat for fraud. But for international transactions, you are paying like extra $100 for a $10 transaction. So that's why you have to do that particular check and balance to protect your business. But for combating it for POS, no development has happened now. I can't lie. Maybe that's why many of them now have CCTVs in their shops, in their businesses. But the best thing for you, me, I'm not a card person. I don't use ATM cards. So there's no even way you will steal my card unless you want to steal my phone. So I think the best thing to do is to protect your card, sincerely. Sincerely. Oh, Mr. Lade said they asked you to sign the POS receipts now. Exactly. That's even the best thing right now because there's a lot of crazy things that are still happening with POS that nobody has solved. So I think it's something that we can all put our hands together and develop something for fraud. with that use case.
Builders in fintech. This is why we are here. That's oh, honestly, like, cause one of the reasons why we started beyond, oh, let's meet ourselves, let's talk, let's share notes, is also to see how we can like build solutions that really mirror like what the future of fintech should be like in this part of the world. So we are excited for the future. Can't wait, can't wait. Thanks, Abimbola. Before I take the next question, guys, please, I'm kneeling down now. You can't see me, but just imagine it, right? I dropped a link on the chat. I know we've all been saying things about like Abimbola. This session has been insightful. It has been wonderful. I love it. I love to hear it. But can we take a moment to open the link and just drop your comments in that tweet, please? Online audience is not going to see our Google chat, as interesting as it has been, right? So we want to take the buzz online, let people know what is happening, let people feel the fire, let them know what they are missing. All the publicity, come and attend, come and join. All the people that just saw the tweet and they went past, let them know that, let them feel it in their body that I missed something. That's the goal. So I trust you guys to help with that. So just click on the link and just type, say thank you, Abimbola. Oh, how was the session for you? It was great, it was insightful. Let's do that. Please also follow the account if you're not following us. But if you don't follow, at least comment at the very, very least. Thank you. So I'm going to call the next person. Who was the person? Yeah, Tolu Lokwe, it's your floor now.
All right, good morning. Thank you so much for the insightful section, Abimbola. Okay, I have some couple of questions. The first is from down, which is the last discussion around chargeback. So I hear you mention that a compelling evidence to prove chargeback could be taking a record, a snap, and the likes. What about the situation where it is web-based, where I don't even know it's making payments?
Yes.
Do you
So
understand how?
I can understand. So for web-based payments, one of the things that we've encouraged people to do is to take at least the little data and make it compulsory. Yes, people can give you fake phone number, people can give you fake email address, but for card not present transactions, that's what we call web transactions. That's card not present transactions. For card not present transactions, we've experienced the highest level of fraud. Let me give you one funny fraud. I hope I'm not going to waste time, but there's one funny thing that happened with the church. You know, in church, they don't ask you for your details. They just tell you pay offering. Pay offering. If you're in an international country, pay offering, pay offering. So a church was enabled for international transactions, being that is a church. And the people that used to test card abroad, that want to use it for those guys that want to use, that they are doing fraud basically. Those guys, they started using, they'll be using $1, $1. So when they used various cards like that to test, at the end of the day, what happened? They went to request for chargeback on behalf against the church, and the church had to pay $10 for $1 transaction. That's a lot of money. So for card not present transactions is even the most risky payment channel ever. That's why you are seeing a lot of people saying there's a lot of fraud engine behind card not present now, to say that if you integrate a merchant and certain amount of transactions are coming in, you stop it. There are other blockers that have been put in fraud engine to ensure that for card not present transactions, we have a lot of redundancies. But I cannot lie to you. If I tell you I have the solution, I don't. That's why we are all here. Because there's a lot happening with card not present transactions. Hence why the promotion of pay by transfer on web nowadays, if you are noticing, and many people are not even using cards again on web. You are seeing that we now have pay with accounts on web, so you can pay directly from your bank account if you don't want to use pay by transfer. Many of these innovations are coming in because little by little we want to start killing card transactions in Nigeria. We're already having pay intra-African payments now, which I believe that very soon innovation will take us to where we have intercountry payments. Now we have PAPS. PAPS is already doing something great with enabling us to be able to move money within Africa. Who told us that tomorrow we should not be able to pay on the web from one African country to another. Then before you know, we'll be able to do it in international countries so that we can kill the idea of cards. Because the chargeback that comes with card not present, I cannot even explain it myself. Even for Nigerian use case, if they steal your card in Nigeria, that's how they will steal it. That's why one of the things that has been put technologically for card not present transaction is 3DS. That's why when you want to use your card on web, they will ask you for OTP. You know that Nigerians today, we are the only ones that use chip and pin cards. Chip and pin means that if you look at your ATM card, it has that golden stuff on it. Those are chip and pin cards. But if you go abroad, their cards are plain. They don't have that thing. They don't ask for pin abroad when they use cards now. They just swipe. That's why they use most of their cards for fraud. But for Nigerian use case, we ask for pin. We will even still do 3DS. 3DS means we still ask for OTP. Join as 3-factor authentication, just to ensure that you are the one that is in this transaction. There's nothing you can come and tell us because your OTP is there. So these are some of the things that we are doing to improve it in Nigeria. But for international countries, their cards are not chip and pin. So it's still a lot, sincerely. I can't say more than that.
Thank you. That's clear. I asked a question on the chat. Can let's say a paystack refund one of their payout, like their partners who basically pay, that's the bank, and then they do like refund of, let's say, 1 billion. Now, the agreement is maybe 2 or 3 days that should be utilized, right? But it extends further. For those periods that they have balances, can they earn interest on refund float?
Yes. So Paystack can tell the bank, like I explained, can tell Zenith that every money that I keep with you, use it as float. I know I have money with you, yes, but use it as float. Paystack does not hold funds, by the way. Paystack is a switch. All Paystack money is in banks, if you don't know. Paystack carries a switching license. That's why it looks like they have multiple licenses. They don't have multiple licenses. They only have switching license. And switching license allows you to do a lot of things. That's why they can do a lot of things. So that's why you see that they have Paystack POS, Paystack this, Paystack that. They are a switch. So he said laughs in Zap again. Exactly. So that's why, Zap was questioned for holding funds when they said they put Paystack Titan accounts, static accounts that people can credit. They are not allowed to hold funds. So all their money sits in a corresponding bank. And for Paystack Titan, their corresponding bank is Titan Trust Bank. So they can tell Titan Trust Bank that, guys, use our money for float. Let us earn interest on it. That's what Paystack does. It's not a open conversation. It's clean and clear. That's how they make money.
Thank you. Tolu, you're going to pay also because you answered 2 questions. I mean, you asked 2 questions, but no worries, fine. So we have 2 more people. There's a question in the comment I also like to take. I'm taking one. So let's quickly wrap this up. Owana, yeah, 2 minutes. Then after we take Rukayat last.
All right, thank you so much. Hi, Abimbola. Thank you for this session. I'm your new best friend from today. You don't know it yet.
Oh my God.
Okay, so I'm going back to the basics, right? I want to ask a question. How does the CBA, or how do the CBA providers really come into the conversation of payments and maybe banking services, especially in Nigeria today? What kind of licenses do they have to have available by themselves? And apart from that, I mean, there are a couple of guys that extend maybe integrations with card providers, transfers, USSD, so many things like that to users that are onboarded on their platforms. What kind of licenses, what kind of permissions do they need to have to extend that? And how does that just work? That's my question.
Okay, thank you. So I would take it from the CBA providers. The core banking providers are just infrastructure providers. They're just corporates. They're business guys. They built an infrastructure and they are selling. NIBS has launched their own core banking today. It's called NCube. And funny enough, NIBS said, once you get an MFB license, you must use NCube. I don't know why they said that. But once you get an MFB license, you must use NCube. So they've launched their own core banking, and guess what? They collect money. So what these core banking providers do is based on the contract you have with them. Currently, we all notice that GTB has moved their core banking from their former core banking to the new one because of the expense. It's very expensive. You pay for services. These are full infrastructure companies, have nothing to do with the CBN. They just do ledger entry. That's all. That's what the CBA is for: manage accounts and manage ledger entry. So they have no business in the financial economy or in our fintech space. Then your second question about the guys that sell real play. Many of them are PSSPs, and also switches sell APIs. Then you don't need a license to sell airtime API. I hope you know. You can be a corporate and sell airtime and data. Then also Nigerian regulators doing referee and player, NIBS, NGX, all of them are competing with the same folks they regulate. Exactly. I went for a training in NIBS. That's how they know me in NIBS. I went for a training in NIBS 3 years ago, and I told them, why are you competing with the people you are regulating? And the woman looked at me and said, yes. Why are you doing bill payment? You don't want us to make money. And the lady looked at me like, auntie, you're angry. I'm angry because you are NIBS. You already make money per transaction. So why are you killing us? Let us make money to as fintechs. Yeah, so that answers your question. Thank you. Let me take Rukayat now.
Yeah, Rukayat. Thanks, Abimbola.
Oh, thank you so much, Abimbola. Thank you so much for this insightful session. If this were to be a physical session, I'll just stand up and give you a big hug. Yeah, so this is my question. So I've worked as a product manager, but I'm really new in this fintech space, and I have an upcoming interview with a full stack fintech organization, and I just appreciate your advice. That what would you advise that I focus on to stand out in the interview and then maybe prepare on the job to be successful and to evolve faster? Thank you. That's my question.
This thing you're asking me, I take consultancy fee for it too. I take consultancy fee for it. Sincerely, this is my advice to you. Nothing helps you to stand out in any interview except from the ability to apply yourself and ability to learn. You don't have experience in this space, so there's no amount of show off you can go and show off that you will not throw yourself under the bus. So come correct, come straight and tell them, sir, I know very little about payments. I'm learning. I'm reading CBN regulations. I know that I should be aware of everything that comes to regulation. Try to know what their license is. There's nothing called full stack payment company. It's either they're a switch, they're PSSP, they're an IMTO, or they are something. They will have a license category. So try to Google them. If you don't know their license category, it's open on CBN. There's a CBN platform. Maybe I will drop it for Elizabeth and she can share with the community later, where you see all the license category of all the guys that you know and the big names. So you can easily know all the license category that they carry. And that way you are able to tell them that you know that this is their license category. You know that they don't have, for example, if it's a switch, you know they are not permitted to do this, they are not permitted to do that. But sincerely, you want to learn more with them. And you are a fast learner. Don't go and bluff with payment too. I use God beg you. Before they ask you, so tell us how CBN posts, and you are stammering. So that's the best way for you to approach it. You don't need a fintech experience. You just need to tell them how you can apply your skills and how well you can learn. I'll send my account details after this. Thank you very much.
Bimbo, you Thank you very much. All right. I want to take one last question because Catherine dropped us and she said she didn't know she was supposed to raise her hand. So one for the culture, but I can't even find your question again, Catherine. Do you want to help copy and paste it again, please? The devil is a liar. Okay, I've seen it. How does settlement happen with NIBS and CBA? I feel like this is a whole masterclass on its own, but I'll leave Bimbo to answer this in 1 minute. But definitely we're going to settlement masterclass. But yeah, Bimbo, let's see.
Okay, so this is what happens. I wish I can share my screen or get a whiteboard. I don't know if I can pick it. Okay, so let me. If you have a paper, you can draw. Okay, so this is it. NIBS and CBN, they are two different people. CBN is just a guy that helps NIBS. So let me explain the relationship between CBN and NIBS. NIBS is owned by all banks in Nigeria, by the way. So all banks in Nigeria came together as a consortium and built NIBS. NIBS is the payment company of CBN. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like that. So NIBS is the central aggregator of all payments in Nigeria. So how does it happen? Thank you for asking. When all switches make payment, and I'll do this in exception for Remita. Remita is the only switching company in Nigeria. I'm happy I worked there. It's the only switching company in Nigeria that connects directly to the CBN. Apart from Remita, every other person goes through NIBS. Yes. So now this is how settlement happens. There are 4 settlement sessions in the day: 8 o'clock, 12 o'clock, I think 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. That's the last settlement session in the day. I think it's 4 or 5. Now, these settlement sessions that happen, there's no settlement session in the during the weekend though. It only happens Monday to Friday, which means that over the weekend, every transaction that was done is settled first thing 8 a.m. on Monday morning. So how do we settle with NIBS? NIBS has a portal, RTGS, that we all move transactions to. Now everybody has a table, and I'm going to go technical. Everybody has a table, all switches. They have a database that they have overnight settlements for the big lad. Yes, so they have a database at the back of their system now where they input all transactions. So for example, if you did 5 transactions today to say, Access Bank, please credit GTB 5 transactions. Then this same today, GTB told Access Bank, credit on my behalf 3 transactions. During clearing, they will do a differential of how much Access Bank is owing GT and how much GT is owing Access Bank. Trust me, the database already knows that. So it will automatically calculate it. That how many inflows did GT do on behalf of Access and how many did Access do on behalf of GT. That differential is calculated, and those informations, they are sent to NIBS. Now, what does NIBS do? The amount that GT should be debited for, NIBS will put it minus this for GT. If Access Bank is receiving credit, they will do plus this for Access. They only do one trial balance for you, which means that during clearing session, they will clear for all the transactions that you've done in a day. They will do the minus and plus, minus and plus, minus and plus. Now, NIBS will now carry all this information and go and start debiting your funds holding account. It's either they debit your funds holding account or they credit you. It's either of both. Now, this your FHA that you have. If there's no money there, that's where CBN comes into play. CBN owes your collateral with them. So when you don't have enough money in your settlement session, that's where you either borrow money from CBN using your collateral, or if all those other things that we mentioned does not exist, CBN will debit your collateral that you funded. When CBN debits your collateral, they will use it to settle the other bank on your behalf. Then you can deal with your collateral with CBN. But there's regulation for clearing and settlement. Per clearing or settlement session, if you are not funded 2 or 3 times, they will remove you from settlement session. And you will not be able to join clearing and settlement again, which means that you'll be using a corresponding bank in settlement and clearing sessions. They can remove you from settlement and clearing session if you are owing money. That's what happened to this bank that starts with H. Heritage. Is it Heritage Bank? Yes, this bank that folded up. Settlement and clearing sessions, they didn't have money. They finished out Heritage. Yes, they finished out their money in CBN and they started owing. So CBN stop using the money that they kept with them, their collateral. Is that their collateral that they're using to settle customers now? That's where the insurance comes in. So is that recapitalization money that is now being used to settle customers? Abed, is that money that they are using to settle all customers and they are using to do everything that they are doing today. So if you meet a settlement cycle, they will remove you. So settlement, that one, is a whole lot of this thing. If I for us to do a settlement session, it would be amazing to have somebody from CBN, somebody from NIBS, somebody from Remita, so that you can get a lot of insights. Settlement is amazing. Clearing sessions, amazing.
And I think like having it physically so they can pull up boards.
Yeah.
Because there's something that until like it's visually like illustrated.
Yes. That's why I said
cannot-
I wish I could have a drawing board to show you. Because I
Yeah.
remember when I worked on one settlement, something that we did one time in Remita, and I was almost running mad. How am I doing minus and plus, minus and plus, minus and plus? But it's really amazing when you find out what happens. That's why they give them those chances that you can borrow money for float during liquidity, all those midnight settlements. If you miss 6 o'clock settlement, the one you shall not miss is the one in the midnight where they will borrow you money. If you miss the one during the day that everybody is doing Gbogbo is okay. Make sure that you have borrowed money before midnight so that it doesn't enter 12 a.m. So that one that happens at 9 p.m., 8 p.m. ish, make sure you have money as a bank. That's where your treasury team comes for you. So I had an amazing session. Thank you very much, BIF.
Thank you so much, Abimbola. I think the best word that describes this for me is mind-blowing. As much as I work in payments, some of these terms are familiar, also still being able to learn and like expand my knowledge. Personally, I'm really, 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 really glad and grateful for that. So thank you so much, Abimbola. Yeah. Betty, please help me pull up the next slide. I have a link on the chat too. Please, guys, let's go and see our thank you to Abimbola. And our thank you to BIF for organizing this and just generally share what you learned. Also, if you're not a fan of leaving out comments, you can also make your own personal tweets. We want to, let the streets of Twitter know that something happened now. I'll be what you guys think. So you can make your personal tweets and just like use the hashtag BIF July Masterclass. Someone can help me drop the hashtag. Betty, can you please help me drop the hashtag on the chat? BIF July Masterclass. Make that, tweet and just use the hashtag, or you can also tag us with our Twitter handle at B_in fintech. Yes, what I can't forget. So yeah, please let's do that. Also, one of the things that most common questions I think I saw in the chat, a lot of people talked about getting access to the recording. Yes, we'll make the recording available. We actually have a YouTube channel in the works. God is going to help us. We're going to edit or just like put some of these things, this content, not really content, the recording, like in the rawest form, up on our YouTube channel. So you can always go back. So we don't just want to share the links to the recording. We want to make it on YouTube so that even if at that point it's like it's not a convenient time for you to watch, you can always watch it. Maybe you're having a challenge at work and you just remember that, oh, that's true. Abimbola mentioned something in this masterclass. You can always go back to YouTube, just making it easier for you to find. Within the next 2 weeks, that should be up. 1 to 2 weeks. It can come before then, but let's just say. So just keep an eye on that. Also, we will be making a lot of this announcement more in our community. So this is the part I say, if you're not in BIF inside that community, you are missing out. See, Abimbola is a member of the community. So there's access. There are other people you also meet. Then there are also like sessions that we have that are within this community alone. We have our AMA sessions every 2 weeks, fortnightly. We also just talk about things, interesting things in fintech, and it's usually happening on Slack, Tuesdays, fortnightly. So there are added perks that you would have access to in the community. So if you're not in the community, you join by applying. Don't worry, the application process is simple, right? The reason why we made it that way is so that the community feels exclusive, and also just so that we are able to filter, right, correctly. And we know that the people joining are people that are actually fintech people, and not just like everybody just come, right? I mean, we're welcoming people, but we want to be sure that the community serves the right kind of audience. So just apply and we'll bring you in. So join our community. Next slide. Yes, we have a newsletter. So if you feel like this community thing, if I'm not really a fan, you can also like keep in touch with us via our newsletter. We also just share content like fintech content on our newsletter. We let you know what's happening in the industry. We also do some insider amebo small, and we also let you know some interesting fintech facts. So you get to learn. So I assure you that for every newsletter you get to learn, you get to know what, stay on top of the updates in the industry. You also get to know what like BIF is up to and what we're cooking next. So subscribe to our newsletter, buildersinfintech.substack.com. We are currently at about 100 subscribers. I want and I hope that at the end of this we'll get to 150 because we are currently like 50 something on this call. So please subscribe, will help us. Please, thank you very much. Lastly, but not the least, connect with us. We are everywhere on TikTok. Safe, but I don't think TikTok is on the slide, but we are everywhere. Connect with us: Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. Follow us. You might be wondering, how do I connect? Just follow us. That's all you need to connect, right? We have a lot of interesting things coming up. There's something we're launching soon, in about a week. I don't want to say it. I don't want to. It's doing me to announce it here, but I will not. I'm going to hold it. So the only way you find out is if you're connected on our socials, right? We have initiatives coming up. I think we're also planning a physical meetup soon. Something small but intimate. So there's no way you know all of these things if you're not following us, right? So follow us and let's stay connected. Also, we have people in the fintech industry in our community that are doing great stuff. So if you're a part of the community, you also get to connect with them. You get to learn about what they are building, and we get to just interact. So thank you guys for coming along on this July session. I'm really glad. I think we've been celebrating the speaker, we've been celebrating everything, but I think we should actually celebrate ourselves. Can you celebrate yourself, please? Just give yourself that round of applause, because you guys are amazing. You are like, this audience is unbeatable. Thank you. You guys really, you brought yourself. You were ready. You came prepared, as they say, as the Gen Z say. So you were very interactive. I really loved the interactions. I loved everything about the session. So thank you, guys. We will be meeting again next month. So like I said, this masterclass is monthly. When it's time for next month's own, you also get to find out. So follow us once again. And we're also coming with something very interesting. One thing I assure you is that if you're in BIF, there's no fluff knowledge. You're coming to learn those things you'll not see on Google. This is where you come to learn them. So we are really in this game, and we're ready to dish out as much as possible. So stay connected, and thank you. Tweets about this event, comments about this event. Tell somebody to tell somebody about BIF. Thank you, guys. Let's have a lovely rest of the weekend. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah, bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, Abimbola. Thank you, guys. Bye.